Okay. Alright. Hello. Um, I'm just gonna start this off by saying I've got I've got COVID and I'm isolated in my room for 10 days. Um, and I've got nothing to do, so I'm just gonna make this video. This is a ME3 to ME7 conversion. Um, I personally did this on a 1.8T AGU, which is a cable throttle engine, and yeah, I got all the bits from a donor car, which was an AUM or AUQ. They're both basically the same. But in this case, it was an AUM. Um, yeah, let me roll it forward. Yeah, if you hear me cough or drink water or something like that, then yeah, sorry. Okay, so big long list of parts that you might need. Uh, I'm gonna go through all of these individually in a minute, but yeah, let's just jump ahead. Okay. Um, I've put a whole bunch of links in the description of this vid for you to see um, some really good forums that I used. Um, this one is from, I don't know, something on gticlub.com or something, which is a forum. And then this dude, 20 valve Jimmy, massive shout out. If you're watching this, probably not. Um, he listed out what all the wiring, sorry, all the wiring harnesses, what they do. And yeah, that helped me out a massive ton. So there's 2 pages, there's that 1 page. And then it's the second page. If you want to do go look later, then yeah, go look at that forum. Hopefully, it still exists. Same as this. Tell you what, actually, let me just quickly say something else as well. There's 2 routes to go about this job. You can repin uh, the narrowband ECU, which is the AGU ECU, to incorporate a wideband lambda sensor, and then just map it that way, apparently. But I didn't go along that route. I just thought buy a crazy load of parts and just completely swap it properly instead of just still keeping cable throttle. It's completely swapped to fly-by-wire, which is obviously electronic throttle. Okay, so I'm going to start going through this long list of things. Did I talk about this? No, I don't even think I did. So the wiring loom has got a whole bunch of interior connectors, and they all do different things. And this basically was a post, also massive shout out 2025 Jimmy, and he breaks down what each one of these connectors do. This is the brown one, orange one, blue one, white one, and yeah, let's just, I don't know, which one should we pick? Orange, T10 orange, that's that one, and it tells you what each color does, which was super helpful. I've been chatting to a couple of guys who are in a situation where their fuel pumps weren't prime or something like that, and I've had to do a bit of repinning. But for for you guys, the main one that you want is this blue. Is this blue loom? You don't have to cut it. It's in 2 sides, so it starts here, which is that one, and the blue one solely does here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but yeah, the blue one solely does the throttle pedal. So yeah, that's the one you need. Obviously, we're going from cable throttle to electronic throttle. That side connects into the actual pedal itself, and that side connects into the wiring loom, the interior plugs for the wiring loom. I cut them out because I was in a breaker's yard and I didn't have time to try and fish the wiring out of the fuse box. But you can just like snake it out and pull it and snake it and pick it and snake it out. But it was raining that day and I just wanted to get out of the rain. Cool. So I'll try and remember as much as I can, but I might miss something. Okay, inlet manifold. That's the first thing you're gonna need is from a AUM or AUQ. The BAM inlet manifolds are on the other side, like the flips over one way. But you don't have to necessarily get an inlet manifold. You can change the injector cups. So that's the original AGU injectors, and this down here is just a really crappy image I pulled off Google of the AUM injector or the AUQ, and you can see the AGU is longer than the other one. So you need the fuel rail, and you need excuse me. You also need the what did I say? So you need the fuel rail. You need the obviously the injectors are different as well because the injectors are different lengths and different flow rate as well. Um, if you get the BAM injectors, which I did, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, the fuel rail you need different because it sticks out. It sticks out more. So you can see the length on this is kind of long, and then the length on that is a bit shorter because the injectors are shorter. Well, the injectors are longer. So yeah, you can buy billet inserts um, and change the injector cups instead of buying a whole new inlet manifold. But I just bought an inlet manifold. It was a fiver, so whatever. Cool. I think I've covered everything there. Throttle body. Obviously, you're going to need a throttle bottle. Throttle body. You're going from cable throttle to fly-by-wire, which is you can kind of see the cable underneath there. So obviously, you need that turbo intake pipe. You're going to need a bigger one if you're going to go from KO3 to KO3S. The inlet, uh, the inlet on the compressor side doesn't fit on the face from the KO3 to the KO3S. So that's the KO3S and that's the KO3. Usually you can tell the difference between because of that the baffle at the top, but you can get KO3S without a baffle. I think the blade count is different. I think that's the main way to tell. And one of them is 8 and one of them is 12, I think. But don't quote me on that. Just do a quick Google. Cool, yeah. So tip, dash. So you need some clocks from a AUM. I'm going to be referencing AUM basically. Just pick whichever. If you hear me say AUM or AEQ, just pick whichever ME7 car you're converting to. It's cool. I think cool. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. I think I should have maybe prefaced that at the start. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Let me go back and preface that. I'm not a mechanic. I just do this for fun. I'm just a hobbyist. So take everything I say as gospel. I've just done my own. I've just done my own research, and it's work for me. So I'm just trying to share what I can share because I've seen a lot of. I've been asked quite a bit on the forum, so trying to help out. So yeah. So you need the clocks out of a AUM or a AUQ or whatever, because the AGU doesn't have an EML light, and it's cool to have a engine management light because you need that orange color. Yeah, you might have to do a little bit of fiddling. Obviously, when you change the clocks, you're gonna have a immobilizer problem. So I personally had I had the ECU what's it called? Mobilizer defeat. So that wasn't really a problem, but I'm gonna come back to sorry, I'm gonna come back to this in a bit. About you don't need to have it mapped for it to necessarily work, but I did, so I'll talk about that. So dash. Yeah, what's next is my title's disappeared from here. My presentation's crap. Yeah, oil level sensor, I should say here. So the AGU doesn't have an oil level sensor in the sump, and this is obviously the sump from a AUM or something like that or whatever. Yeah, so I didn't do this. I had the ECU, the guy map out the fuel level sensor. He said it was quite hard to do, and he just sort of just tricked it, and that it just doesn't pop up on the dashboard. But yeah, he done a good job for me, and it didn't. I didn't have to worry about that. If you want to go down that really long route, that's totally up to you. Buy a sump and stick a oil level sensor in it. I'd be careful buying off of cheap Chinese cough cough Autodoc if you've used Autodoc. It's great, but when it comes to sensors and stuff like that, I've had another Audi that we changed the oil level sensor on with a cheap Chinese one, and it just threw codes all day, and it didn't like the oil level sensor, so we had to we bought an OEM one, and it just loved it. It was straight away, it was gone. So if you have any troubles with sensors, it probably is because you've probably bought cheap Chinese, but Personally, this all the other ones that I've bought, like there's quite a lot of engine sensors on this list, and all those engine sensors I've pretty much just bought cheap, and they've worked. They've not given me any issues. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend you buy cheap though. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, if it breaks, and you're fucked. So not sure if I'm supposed to be swearing in this or not. Cool. Coils and coil packs. Yeah. So yeah, the AGU coil packs are 3-pin, which is here. That's the old AGU one with the bolt down. You can see the Allen key going through. And then yeah, the new ones are going to be 4-pin, so you're obviously going to need new coil packs. You can get the stupid red top if you really want to. There's no end of debate when it comes to better spark or whatever. I don't really know. I bought them for reliability's sake because I had an OEM set break pretty early, so I just bought them, and they've lasted a year now, so I'm not really complaining. If they're more reliable, who knows? Maybe you can find out. Yeah, what else? Knock sensors. So knock sensors you need to change as well. So the AGU knock sensor is this one with it's got a wire in between. So there's the actual knock sensor itself, and then it's got a connecting lead and then a brown head on it. And this is the knock sensor on a AUM or AUQ. It's got two of them. Obviously, it's got two of them on here as well, but you can see they look different. The connector is right on the actual knock sensor, so you need to buy that as well. There's a very specific torque setting as well that knock sensors need, so make sure you make use of a torque wrench. What else? Yeah, let's just move on. I'm not going to worry about that grey one. I had no issues with that, if you're wondering. I'm not sure if the grey is the other. I can't remember what that grey one is. Don't know if it's the crank position. I don't know. Whatever. Oh yeah. Sorry. Right. Map sensor. So yeah, ME3 doesn't use a map sensor, but ME7 does. And if you've got an AGU and you're going from AGU to AUM, you've got and you're still on the original side mount welly intercooler. These are you can get kind of lucky. If you take it off, even though it's an AGU, it's kind of already got the holes to stick a map sensor in, but it's just got plastic over the top. So if you be very, very careful, it's just plastic anyway. Just make sure you take all the filings out. I stuck a Hoover to the side of this, like an outdoor Hoover, not like an indoor one. Well, one would kill me. Stuck an outdoor Hoover to this, and then I drilled out this, and then stuck my map sensor in, and it worked a treat, and it was sealed nice and tight. Yeah, so that's how you can get your map sensor in without having to buy another intercooler. So I didn't buy another intercooler, I just used the AGU one, and then it worked. Cool. MAF sensor. So you need a different MAF sensor as well. You can't buy. Technically, the MAF sensor is just that bit there, and the housing is separate. But you can't buy just the sensor on its own. You have to buy the housing with it. So this is the AGU one. It's 4-pin and it's square. And then this is the one you need from ME7, and that's 5-pin. Yeah, 5-pin. Man, this thing is so annoying. This COVID. Yeah, 5-pin. So you need that. Yeah, lambda -O2 sensor. You need narrowband runs on one lambda sensor, which is this one just down here. And then yeah, that's the AGU one, and then this is the one you're gonna have to replace too. That's your front. This is your new front O2 sensor, and this one's like 6-pin. You can see the pin is like a whole lot bigger. Yeah, I'd also buy OEM for the lambda sensor. It's pretty important. So yeah, I'd get a decent one. Don't just buy a cheap £20 one of these or whatever. Yeah, you've got two O2 sensors on a ME7 car, and just one on an ME3. The front one on a ME7 car is the most important, I believe that does all the calculations and stuff like that. And then the rear O2, I'm pretty sure is just like a check. I think it just does a really simple job to see if I don't know, the catalytic converter is doing its job or something like that. I really don't know, but I'm pretty sure that the front one is the most important because I had the rear O2 mapped out. So the rear O2 is basically useless anyway. Cool. Right. Well, yeah. So obviously welts you're going to need is the biggest of the parts, but not the most expensive. Um, in fact, no, you know what? It probably is the most expensive. Um, Loom and ECU. So this is actually a photo of my old AGU one, but it's just for photographic purposes. You get the point. So you obviously need the ECU. Sometimes it's got it's got written Benzene ME75 on the front. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't think mine did. But you can jump on Google. Sorry, you can jump on Google and you can double check that that code is the right code for whatever AUM or AEQ or whatever you want. And then yeah, you can use that link that I put all the way at the start with all the bits labeled out for you to figure out, like, you know, what goes where and what's an injector plug and what's a not an injector plug. All right, cool. What else? Yeah, I think that's it on that. Let's go to the next one. Oh, my presentation falls apart here, so I just start labeling things in green and going full screen on another page. So now I'm going to talk about the pedal bracket. This was a real ball ache. It probably isn't for you if you've got the right tools, but I sort of don't have the right tools. This photo is robbed off some random guy, so if you're watching this video, bro, and this is your photo, shout out to you because this helped me out a massive amount. The accelerator pedal that we've now got, sorry, yeah, needs to mount to the firewall, and basically it sits on this bracket here. So it's got on the actual accelerator pedal, it's got like one, two at the top and one at the bottom, and that's where it sits on here. So you're gonna have to go and find a donor car to rip this bracket out, and it's spot welded. So you can see here that this dude with his trainer circled in red where all the spot welds are, which was super helpful. And you can see here's me trying to drill it out. So this is actually my photo in the breakers yard trying to get this out. But yeah, it's a real bugger to get to. I ended up having to use a crowbar and sticking a crowbar up from the upper where the interior plugs come in, and then just fucking yamming it out. And it came out in the end, but yeah, it's got a product number. It's got a product, not product number. What was it? Part number. It's got a part number on it. But no main dealer VW Audi will sell that bracket, which is kind of messed up because it gets pretty chewed up. You can see it's already chewed up here, but it got pretty chewed up trying to take it out. Yeah, and then you can mount it to your firewall. Mounting it to your firewall, you've got two routes. Well, really, you've only got one route, but the other route is a bit naughty. You can bolt it. The good way is to bolt it. You've got two holes that line up to the brake pedal. So the brake pedal is just next to the accelerator, obviously. So you can put it in, and then you can take the bolts off, sorry, of the brake pedal, and then push the studs back, and then slip the bracket over it. So you can see that this thing here is the brake pedal. So the brake pedal goes over there, and then you can just bolt the brake pedal down, and it also will secure this bracket. And then you can call in a good friend to have just a couple of welds put in to just go buzz, 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 just to make sure it won't move. Or you can use cough cough chemical metal, but I wouldn't recommend that. But that is what I did. Anyway, so yeah, a little bit of a talk about. Sorry, coughed again. A little bit of a talk about the actual pedal mechanism itself. Just ignore my really crude drawing. The accelerator pedal mechanism itself is pretty big, so it goes up, and it goes right, and it goes right behind the dash. If you want to take the whole mechanism out properly, be my guest. I didn't do that. But you do have to pull the dash, and I've not pulled the dash before. It's just a big job, so I didn't do it. I just cut it from here, literally from there, and then you can pull. I did like a little D, a backwards D here. That's the pivot point. If you pull the clip off it and then just cut it from here, the whole thing will just slip straight out. I was just pointing my hands at the screen like you guys could see that. That's funny. Yeah, so you can cut it here, and it will you can take it off and then just get the same dude who was doing the welding there for you. Just get him to just tack it there so it just stays still. And that is not what I did. I used JB Weld. Anyway, it still works like a year later. Alright, so next, KO3S Turbo or KO4. If you want to go bigger, you can do KO4. But I just did KO3S because I just wanted to start off. My baffle always looked like a Lego head, so I just drew a little smiley face on it. So I bought a pretty shitty turbo. When I went to the breakers, I basically just took a massive list of parts. I'd personally recommend maybe if you can buy a donor car, that you'd probably end up being better off, because you're gonna rob basically every engine sensor off of the donor car. But whatever, and then whatever you don't use, you can end up selling off and making the money back. But I didn't do that because I'm not smart. Yeah, no, I haven't got space to keep the car. Cool. So I bought this cheap turbo, and the compressor wheel was hitting the housing. Just gently, I could wiggle it with my finger, and I could just about get it to make a scraping sound. So yeah, that wasn't gonna do. So I went to these guys, Turbo Rebuild Limited. Massive love to these guys, because I gave them a call and they said, hey, look, you were about to order the wrong rotating housing. Like, this is the one you need. So they've got good customer service there, and they're good parts anyway. I've heard good things from this Mellet UK company. I think they're from Germany. I don't even think they're UK. Yeah, so I bought a brand new CHRA, which is Central Housing Rotating Assembly. Yeah, I didn't butcher that. And then yeah, split my turbo with a couple of online resources, which is super easy to do. I think it only took like a couple of hours, probably half that time if you do it the first time. But yeah, you can see here's my nice brand new shiny Central rotating. And when I changed it, put it all back together again, it was like rock solid. That thing out in pellet was not moving. And yeah, I can say brand new turbo, rotating housing. Sorry, feels great. It feels so good. I've got another car with a worn turbo and brand new turbo. It just feels so good. Yeah, sorry to anyone who's actually got a quick turbo. I realize these aren't fast turbos, but for me, it was cool. Yeah, what else was I going to talk about? Accelerator pedal and the loom for the blue plug. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so yeah, on your AGU, you're not going to have this blue plug. You're going to have, like, as in on your interior harness. This is the loom coming. Sorry, let me start again. This is the wiring harness, and these are the interior plugs on the wiring harness. There for the interior. And your AGU car isn't going to have this blue plug, so obviously you need to go and forage it from another car. Again, like I said before, you don't have to cut it, but I did, and I just soldered it back together. This ended up being fine, by the way. I'm not don't take the mick out of my soldering, but I think that's okay. It did fine. At least I'm not sellotaped, right? Yeah, do a proper solder. Don't sellotape. Yeah, this worked a treat. Down into my accelerator pedal, and Yeah, I'm just reading my text to see if there's anything else. Yeah, I didn't introduce any resistance when I did that. Okay, engine sensors I thought I needed to swap, but didn't, and it was fine. Oh, right, yeah. So, N75 valve from the AGU was fine. I'm using that on my now AUM, ECU, loom, everything. It's basically an AUM now. And yeah, that AGU N75 is working fab, no problem at all. Uh, I did the 3-turn preload, not preload. Is it preload? Yeah, preload on the actuator to set the right preload on the actuator. I don't know if you end up changing um your turbo or doing any work to your turbo, obviously you're just gonna have to set that back to what it needs to be, default setting. Um, yeah, cam position sensor. I thought that I was gonna have a problem with that, and then I checked the part numbers for the AUM and the AGU, and they're actually got the same OE part number, so you don't need to change that. I ended up buying one anyway, but yeah, I just returned it because it was yeah, I returned it because I didn't need it. The diagnostics port dash OBD2 port and the K line. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't need to change that or do anything to that. I didn't have to do any repinning. Anywhere in this build, I didn't have to do any repinning, which was quite lucky. Um, yeah, so luckily for me, after I just did all my, I plugged all my wiring, like harnesses back together, put it all back, and my diagnostics port was just fine. It was working anyway, so I don't know why it would stop working, but yeah, it was perfectly fine. And the coolant temp sensor was fine too. I didn't need to change that from AGU to AUM. The pins were the same, colors were the same, nothing was different, so I just left it out as it was, and it was cool. I didn't change any relays, and luckily for me, I didn't need to do any repinning anywhere either. I made sure that all the parts that I got um, were also from a Golf. This was on a Mark IV platform Golf. That was an AGU, so I made sure to find basically a mirror of the same car, but just in an AUM version. And everything. I don't know if that helped at all, but I think it helped because I didn't have to do any repinning anywhere, and I've been messaged by people in the past just saying like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this. Like, this isn't working. That's not working." So, yeah, I've would also be good to mention that if you've got a green connector on the inside of your car in the interior plugs, you've probably got an older AGU. I didn't, so maybe that's the new one. I really don't know. The one that I've got is a 2000, so 2000 AGU. So I don't know if that's any information to you, but yeah. Uh, oh yeah, cool. So yeah, when I bought my turbo intake pipe, I didn't buy a. Let's just sit back, might as well. Yeah, here. So instead of like because the KO3 didn't fit on the KO3S, I just bought an oversized one and did a couple of other things as well in the process. Um, sorry, I jumped out my own presentation. Right. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, so I did a couple of other things as well. I fit some higher CC or flow rate injectors. So I put some injectors in from a BAM. I ended up moving away in the end from their side mount, sorry, their side mount intercooler, and went for front mount. Uh, and just did the necessary bits and bobs to take you up to quote unquote stage 2. Yeah, operated the fuel pump and then air intake and obviously a full 3-inch, 2.5-inch decat and then catback. So yeah, that was cool. Right, deletes. This might be a good one to chat about. So VVT is a big one. If you're gonna have your, in fact, no, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna pause. If you don't have to map, I don't think, but you're gonna have quite a few issues. AGU obviously never had any of the big crazy like the what's it called? Sorry, bit crazy. The evap stuff. So it didn't have a NAE, and it didn't have a secondary air intake, and it obviously had a PCV system, but yeah, it didn't have a SI. So you have to get that mapped out, and you have to get the VVT mapped out if your donor car or donor loom has got variable valve timing. Um, the AGU head doesn't have a VVT solenoid, so get it mapped out. All of this doesn't necessarily depend on you having the ECU mapped for it to work. You can map it, and it does help. But yeah, another thing that I did was I obviously deleted the oil level sensor because I didn't want to have to mess around with doing this the sump swap and putting an oil level sensor in the sump if I could avoid it, and I could avoid it. So whatever, I'd done the pickup pipe years ago, which is like a preventative thing. So I didn't really want to start messing around with the sump again. Excuse me. All right, so what else? Yeah, traction control off. I did that for a deliberate reason. ESP light, my car didn't have it. I don't think your AG will have a traction control toggle switch either. So I just had the dude who mapped my car turn off the traction control so that I could just mess about. I'm not really into super crazy performance. I'm just into something to just rag about and just slide about. Who cares? Don't really think I needed traction control. Cruise control. This is just some extra stuff if you want to mess around. I bought a stalk, and my wiring loom came with the plug for the cruise control, so I just plugged it in and it worked. So I got lucky there. If you want to go down the same route, you may have to get the ECU. With VCDS, you might have to toggle cruise control on so that it works. But yeah, that's that. What else have we got? Yeah, rear O2 delete as well. Yeah, I just had the rear O2 delete because it didn't really need it to be used. So just run with the front O2. And that's pretty much it, I think. Hopefully you haven't heard the music in the background. I've been listening to music all this time because I know how much people hate music in the background. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I had fun. It took quite a while. Like I said, I'm not somebody who works with cars. I'm a video games artist. I work in games and do art and stuff like that, which is a bit of a contrast, but yeah, it's just a hobby. So if you go about this, you might be without a car for about a week or something like that. If you've done it for the first time, it might take you a little while. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, if there's any questions or anything that I missed out or something that I can help with, then drop a comment and then let me know. All right, cool. See you later. Hey, Lord of the Rings.